Hello, students. Welcome to today's session. Today, we are going to discuss a poem that is Vocation, written by Rabindranath Tagore. Now, the word vocation means profession or trade. Any profession that we are doing, whether it is teaching, whether it is selling something, or whether it is banking, these are called as vocation. So here this poem is written from the perspective of from the viewpoint of a child is the narrator of the poem, is a poetic persona, and he is he has to go to school. He is a student, but he hates going to school, and he compares himself with a hawker, a watchman, and a gardener. He finds that their life is too good because they have no restriction. They are free to do whatever they want without knowing about the hardships that these persons have to go through. Now these person mentioned like a hawker, gardener, and watchman, they have to earn their living. They have a family to look after, but the child is not able to understand that, and he wants to be one of them. Now, let us discuss the poem. On your way to school or market, you see many people at work. In pairs, discuss what you have noticed. Then read this poem. You may read it aloud with a partner if you like. Now, when you are going to school or you are going to market, you can see many people who are working. There are many laborers who are working, who are doing their work. The work can be of different nature. So you are asked to discuss about those people and their work. So when the gong sounds 10 in the morning and I walk to school by our lane, every day I meet the hawker crying bangles, crystal bangles. Now when the gong here is a metal object which makes a loud sound when it is hit. Now here gong means school bell or any other bell which shows the timing. When the gong sounds 10 in the morning, it is time for the student, for the uh, person in the poem, to for the poet to go to school. And he goes to school by his lane. Lane is a narrow street, and every day he meets a hawker there. Hawker means a vendor who sells things moving from one place to another, and this hawker is selling bangles. He makes a loud sound, bangles, crystal bangles, asking the people to buy bangles from him. And he is selling crystal bangles. Crystal means glass, bangles which are made of glass. There is nothing to hurry him on. There is no road he must take, no place he must go to, no time when he must come home. Now, a question arises in our mind that why is the poet wanting to be the hawker? Why the life of hawker is attractive to the poet? Because he thinks that the hawker doesn't have to hurry. He is not getting late to reach somewhere. There is no particular road he has to take, no particular place he has to go, and no particular time when he has to return home. He can go anywhere, he can come to home at any time. He's not bounded by time, he's not bounded by location, he's not bounded by road. He can go anywhere he went, anywhere he likes. He can take any road, and he can go and come according to his own decision. Now the poet here is comparing the hawker with him, because he has to follow a particular timetable, because he has to go to school in the morning and has to return when the school is over. So he has to follow a time frame, and that is why he is finding the hawker to be finding the hawker's profession to be a good profession. I wish I were a hawker, spending my day in the road, crying bangles, crystal bangles. When he see the hawker, he can see that the hawker is crying bangles, crystal bangle, and he thinks that that is the only thing the hawker has to do. And he wishes that if he were a hawker, he could have spent his entire day in the road crying bangles, crystal bangles. He used to leave his home in the morning, and he could have taken any road he wanted to, and would have gone to any place he wanted to, and he would have returned at home at any time. So that is why he wanted to be a hawker. When at 4 in the afternoon I come back from the school, I can see through the gate of that house the gardener digging the ground. Now, when he returns from the school at 4 in the afternoon, on the way he see through the gate of a particular house a gardener. The gardener is digging the ground. Digging means to make a hollow space in the ground, and he does what he likes with his spade. He soils his clothes with dust. Nobody takes him to task if he gets baked in the sun or gets wet. Now again he tells us about what the gardener does. The poet says that the gardener does whatever he likes with his spade is a tool which is used to dig the ground. He soils his clothes with dust. Soil here means to make dirty. He also makes his clothes dirty with dust because he is digging the ground. And there is nobody to take him to task means to scold someone or to rebuke someone. For example, the children are instructed not to soil their clothes, not to make their clothes dirty, and they are scolded by their parents if they make their clothes dirty. That is why the poet finds that the gardener is soiling his clothes, he is making his clothes dirty, but still nobody takes him to task if he gets baked in the sun or gets wet. Baked here means to feel very hot. If he is under the sun or he is getting wet in rain, nobody is there to take him to task. He is his own master. There is no one who puts restrictions on the gardener and no one who scolds him. I wish I were a gardener, digging away at the garden with nobody to stop me from digging. Secondly, he wishes to be a gardener because if he were a gardener, he could have dug the ground the entire day, dug the garden, and nobody would have stopped him from digging. Just as it gets dark in the evening and my mother sends me to bed, I can see through my open window the watchman walking up and down. Now, when it is dark and it is dark in the evening and his mother sends him to bed, he can see through his open window the watchman who is walking up and down. Now, he compares himself with the watchman. He wants to become a watchman. The lane is dark and lonely, and the street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. The watchman swings his lantern and walks with his shadow at his side, and never once goes to bed in his life. Now, the lane is dark and it is lonely. Lonely means empty. It is no one is there on the road on the street, and the street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. Now there is the street lamp on the lane, and the street lamp is compared with a giant. Giant is a very ugly and a very tall figure who is often selfish and often hurt others. And the street lamp is compared with a giant, and it seems that a giant is having one red eye in its head. That red eye is the light of the lampstand. The watchman swings his lantern and walks with his shadow at his side, and never once goes to bed in his life. Now the watchman, who is the guard, he swings or moves his lantern and he walks on the street, on the lane, and with his shadow, there is his shade on his side, and he never once goes to bed in his life. Now the poet, the narrator, doesn't want to go to bed. He doesn't want to sleep. He wants to become the watchman, swinging his lantern and moving on the street. I wish I were a watchman walking the street all night, chasing the shadows with my lantern. Now, when he looks at the child, he wants to become a watchman. So that he can on the street all night, and he can chasing means go after the shadows with his lantern. Now this poem is written from the perspective of a child. A child is unaware of the hardships of life. He can see people, he can visualize people in according to his own experience, and he finds that the gardener, the watchman, and the hawker are having beautiful lives, or wonderful lives. So he is fed up of the restrictions put on him by his parents, and he wants to live the life of these people. So I hope that you have understood the poem.